Yes, has everybody created the instance, requested the instance?
What is that?
Have you requested the instance, the ServiceNow instance? Yesterday we talked about it, right? You go to the developer.servicenow.com and you can request for the instance. So this is the ServiceNow product. Whatever we discussed, you can practice that.
Can you put that link in the message?
Oh yeah, certainly. Give me a minute, please. Okay, so this is the website. All you need to do is go to this particular website, register yourself, and once that registration is completed, you can go to the manage, and you'll have option to request an instance. So just click on the instance. Once the instance is requested, you will be given a link, something like this. Yeah. And all you need to do is use this link going forward to practice. So when you request the link, request the instance, you will be prompted to choose the different versions. Please choose the latest one, Kingston. Okay. And one more thing, if you don't use this instance continuously for 10 days, this instance will be taken back by the ServiceNow. And if you want to start practicing something, again, you have to request the instance again. And depending on the availability, you will be issued the instance. Okay. Okay. So today we are going to, since we have looked at the basics, the ITIL concepts and the introduction to the ServiceNow. Today we'll just go out and look at the UI of ServiceNow. So when we log into the ServiceNow UI, the user interface, what all we see. I'm just going to navigate you through the different options available on the ServiceNow UI. Okay. So when you log into the product, this is how it looks. Okay. So the way we have the versions for the product, versions for the ServiceNow product, we talked about the different versions, right, from the Aspen. And we also know the latest one is the Kingston. So the way we have the versions for the product, we also have the versions for the UI. Okay, so the UI that you look at now is the UI16. And the UI16 was introduced with the Geneva version. Okay, so prior to Geneva, we had the UI15. As an administrator, if you want to switch back to the UI15, you can certainly do this. You can go to this settings icon, switch to the UI15. So this is how the UI15 looks. Okay, so if you look at this UI15 has been divided into 4 sections. So you have the top section, the banner pane, it's called. Then you have the top left section, this is the edge, and this is the navigation pane, and in the middle you have the content pane. But when you look at the UI16, this edge has been taken off, so you don't have the edge anymore. So UI16 has got only 3 sections. So the complete UI has been divided into 3 sections. So the first section on the top is the banner pane. So this is where you can add your logos. So the moment when you receive the instance from the ServiceNow, you receive the with the service the generalized instance. Okay, the common instance. So the moment you receive, the moment you buy the instance, the first thing that you need to do is personalize your instance. So personalizing is nothing but adding your own logo and your own text here, the messages. Okay, and a couple of other things. So by just looking at this logo, you can identify what is the, that will identify your company's name. Okay, so that's what we have the banner pane. So this top section is called the banner pane, and the top left corner, whatever you see, it's called the navigation pane. In the middle, we have the content pane. Now we'll just go ahead and see what are the different options we have in the each pane, in the each section of ServiceNow. So the banner pane holds the, what we call the icon, where we can add our own company's icon, and the header message. So this message, so these two sections. Now, if you scroll it, if you come forward, you can see the name of the currently logged in user. So since I have logged in as an administrator, I can see my name. And the moment I click on this, it will take me, I have, drop down. So when I click on the drop down, I have different options. So the first one is profile. The moment I click on the profile, it takes me to the profile of the currently logged in user. Since I'm the currently logged in user, it opens my own profile in the self-service view. Okay. Now when I click on this and go to the next option, and this is impersonate user. So the impersonate user, this is one of the frequently used administrator, and we have a business user. And the business user has requested some access. So whatever the application that you're seeing on the left navigation, not all these applications are available to all the users. So depending on the permissions that one has, he will have the applications listed. And similarly, we have this particular user, and he wanted to get access to one of the applications, suppose. So he placed a request. So being the administrator, you receive that request. So what you have done, you have provisioned that access, and in order to double check, just to check whatever the permissions that you have given, if the permissions are working or not, in the general scenario, just to double check if the user or the requester has been, if the requester is able to access the applications or not, what we do, we ask the user, dear user, I have granted you the permission. Can you please check if you're able to access this particular application? Okay, so the user has to log in and he has to check if he is able to access the application that he has requested for. Okay, so in order to double check if this, what are the roles or what are the permissions that we have given, if the permissions are working or not, in order to double check, we are being forced to get back to the user and get the confirmation from the user. Okay, or else the other way is to reset the password. Since you're the administrator, you can seek the permission from the user and reset the password and log into the system as him. And once you double check everything is working fine, you can reset the password again and give the control. Ask the user to reset it again after he logs into the system. Okay, so in order to check anything, we are being forced to get back to the user and ask the user to check and confirm. So the ServiceNow gives a beautiful feature where if you have given any permissions to someone without asking the user or without resetting his password, we can log into the ServiceNow as his profile. So when we say his profile, it loads with all the permissions as the requester. So being the administrator, I can impersonate anybody in the system. I can impersonate the regular users, the non-admin users and the admin users also. So when I say the impersonation is nothing but I'm going to log into the system as someone else. And that is without resetting his password Okay. Now, do you see now I have logged in as an able tutor? And when you look at the applications listed here, now previously I used to have a very big list, but now this is only 3 applications I can see. Okay, so because the able tutor doesn't have the full permissions, it has got the restricted permissions. Now, since I have the ability to log into the system as someone else, I can impersonate. I mean, I can check if I built anything for this particular user. I can check if that is working fine or not. And at the same time, if this user reports some issues, stating now while he creating the incident, he receiving some error messages. And if the help desk failed to capture that error messages, what I can do as an administrator, I can impersonate the other user. I mean, I can log into the system as the other user, and I can see the error messages. What are the, I mean, I can reproduce the error message the other user is receiving. So the impersonate is nothing but you logging into the system as someone else. And in order to have this, I mean, this option is not visible to everybody by default. It's visible to only to the people who are the admins and others who got the impersonator role. So we have a role called impersonator. So if impersonator role is available, if any user is granted this role, that user can have the impersonator option. Otherwise, the impersonate user option will not be available. And anybody, suppose if you have granted this role to a non-admin, this non-admin user can impersonate anyone except the admins. Okay, suppose we have user called A, and A is not an admin. He's just a regular user, and to him we have granted him the impersonator role. So when we grant the impersonator role to this particular user called A can impersonate anyone except the admins. But admin by default can impersonate the other admins also. Okay, is that clear, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And next, yeah, go ahead, please.
So for one instance, you can have how many admins? So you can have more than one admin, right?
Oh yes, of course. I mean, it depends on the size of your company. If you have multiple users, then if you have multiple customizations, multiple users, and you can have the multiple admins also.
Okay, and you said that if I am an impersonate person, so I can also influence the other person, right?
Yes.
So I can see all the page looks like the same, like how the other user looks.
Yes. It will logs you to the system as the other user, the other person. Okay. But if you think you can log into the system as someone else and you can do whatever you want, whatever you do, the impersonation that gets captured in the system logs. Okay. So you cannot escape. I mean, if you're doing something wrong, yeah, that will be captured intentionally, of course. If you do something unintentionally, that's fine. But anything, even if you impersonate someone, if I'm impersonating the able tutor or someone else, and if I update the record will show that I have updated. I mean, the ITIL user has updated the record. If I open the incident, and if I make any changes to this particular record, it will show the record has been updated by ITIL user. But actually, the ITIL user hasn't updated. It was updated by someone else. Okay. So, I mean, these things can be captured in the system logs. If I go to the system logs, sorry. Not UC, it's impersonation ended and impersonation started. Impersonation start ITIL user by the system administrator. So it will everything will be captured, guys, in the system logs. Okay. Any questions on the impersonator?
No, and it states the system administrator, right? So ideal user, it states who has been done that.
Yes. Now, if you look at
Okay.
this log, it says impersonation started and ITIL user by system administrator. Yes. So it will show us who has impersonated this particular user.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So the next option we have is elevate roles. So elevate roles, again, these are some extra security permissions. Okay. So you being the admin, you have got access to everything and anything in the system. But however, there are certain permissions or there are certain features which requires the extra diligence. So that extra diligence, since that requires the extra diligence, we need to elevate our roles. So the moment you click on the elevate roles, you have one more role called security_admin. So this role gets applied. Security_admin, this role gets applied, and the elevation is not permanent. It's only for a session. Maybe for the session of 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you will have that elevation roles. I mean, the security admin role permission applied, and after that, it goes off. Okay, and if you have to do something extra diligence work on the system, again, you have to elevate your roles. And this option is also not available to everyone. This is available only to the people who have got the security admin role. Okay, so you are the admin, but being admin is not enough for you to get this option available. So only the people with the security admin role will have the option to elevate the roles. I mean, you'll have this particular option. Okay, elevate roles. And next we have global search. So this is called the global search. So using this search box, you can search any record in the system. It can be the incident record, it can be the change record, it can be the problem, it can be your service request. For that matter, it can be any record in the system, you can search it. So in the general scenario, if you have to search any record, we need to go to the specific table or specific list. Okay, but here, using this global search, you can, you need not to go to the specific list. You can directly search it from this particular search box. So that's the reason this is called as the global search. Okay, and next we have this is connect. This is we also call it as this used to call it chat, and later the name has been changed to connect. So if someone else, if you want to communicate, or if you want to chat with one of your colleagues who, or chat with someone who has currently logged into the system, okay, you can do that. You can, this acts like an IM, your Skype for Business or the link. Okay, so if you want to send any message to this other users, or you can, to anyone in the system, you can do that. First, you have to add them. Let's say, I can send, the messages to the Able Tutor. So when Able Tutor logs into the system, he can find these messages, and he can see the so now do you see he sees the number? That means now somebody has sent him a text message. So administrator has sent him a message. So this is the just the chat option, guys. Similar to the Skype for business. And next we have this is the help. This is the help option. So the moment you click on it, you get two options. You can either what do you call it? You can go to the user guides. The user guides are within the ServiceNow instance, or you can go to the documentation page. So the moment you click the search documentation, it takes you to the ServiceNow's documentation page, which is docs.servicenow.com. Okay, and if you click the user guide, it takes you to the user guides from the instance. So these user guides are within the instance, and this documentation is an external website. Okay. And then we have, this is called the settings, the personalizing settings. So using this gear icon, you can personalize your instance settings. And whatever you do from here, this is going to be applicable only to your login. Okay, though you do it as an administrator, this is not going to affect any other users. This is only for your login. Okay, so you're just personalizing your own instance and its look and feel. Okay, so we have different options, and we have under the system and the system settings, you have general, data visualization patterns, accessibility enabled. What accessibility enabled does. Do you see any change once I enable the accessibility? I don't see any change. Okay, we'll check that later. And we have the data visualization patterns. So the moment you enable it, if you have any graphs in the your dashboard or your homepage, that's going to be changed. Now, do you see? This used to be completely solid. Now that become into what do you call it? Dots and lines. Okay, so these are the changes that you can see when you enable the data visualization patterns. Okay, if I disable this, it will become solid again. The pie charts and the graphs. Okay, so that's the difference it's going to make. And we have the compact user interface. So this is going to fit the user interface in the single screen. And in case if anything is moving. So this is just to fit the interface into the single screen. When you enable the compact user interface, everything will be on the single screen. And we have compact list date and time. So list is nothing but when you look at the records, multiple records in a single view. So if I go to the incident, okay, so this is the list. where I'm able to look at the multiple records in a single view. Now, if I enable this, this is going to change my date field. Okay, if you look at the date, it's compacting the date field. It's showing only the month and the day, and then the time. Okay, if I don't do this, it's going to be a bigger one. It will show me the complete month, date, year, the format. Okay. So it's up to you, how do you want to look at the data? And we have the home page and the dashboards. Home page, dashboards, both are similar. Okay, so it says, the moment you log into the system, what would you like to see? Is it the home page or the dashboard? Okay, so depending on your option, you can choose. And we have date and time. How do you want your date to be visible? So do you want your date to be in the calendar view or in the time ago view, or the both? Since we have chosen the both, had I chosen only the calendar view, this 5D ago wouldn't have been appeared. Okay, so had I chosen only time ago, only the 5D ago would have appeared, and the calendar date that have been disappeared. Since I have chosen both, I'm able to see the time ago and the calendar view. Okay. And the time zone, this time zone, one can override. So usually, if you are working for an organization which has got multiple offices or multiple branches across the different geographies. Okay, so your profile, in the user profile, we have a column called country code. Okay, so depending on the country code, the date and the currency gets converted. Okay, so that is done by the system by default. But if you want to overwrite, suppose you're in the this country, in India, and you want to have the time zone as something else, some US time zone, then you can override the system default time zone. Okay, you can choose whatever the time zone that you wish. And the next we have the themes. Themes again, the different colors. How would you like your instance to look like? So you can choose the different colors depending on your interest. I was choosing something else. I like the clean. Okay, and we have lists. List again, when you look at the multiple records in a single view. So that's called the list. So if you have any longer text in any of the fields, and if you want that to be compacted or that to be wrapped in a single column, then you can use this. You can enable this one, wrap it. Okay, it will be wrapped in a single column. Now do you see? So instead of expanding this horizontally, this has been wrapped in a single column. So that's what the clusters and form. Again, this form, when you look at the individual record, so list is nothing but you're looking at the multiple records, and the form is looking at only the individual record. So this is the form view. This is the individual record. So in the individual record, every record will have some kind of relationship with the other records. Okay, but the relationship is not necessary. But in case if there is any relationship with the other records, how do you want that relationship records to be loaded? That's what you're going to define in the forms. Okay, so if the related lists are going to be loaded with the form, then the form load will have a slower time. Okay, the form load will take some time if you're going to load both the records simultaneously. Okay, and you also have the option to load it on demand. So if you have in the related lists, so these are called the related lists. And if the related list, if you want to be loaded only upon your demand, then you can click this one, on demand. So what happens when you do this on demand? Let's see. Now we see these links. Now when I reload, I will not see the link. Instead, I will see the has it been selected? Okay. Let me open it again. I'm opening one record. If I scroll it down, let's see what happens. Now, do you see load related list? So this is something on demand. So if you choose the on demand, these records will be loaded only when you request it. If not, it won't. Okay. So if any user experiencing slowness, if it is only pertaining to him, probably we can ask him to choose the second option. In case if he has any related lists. So okay, you can ask him to have the related list loaded after the form loads. Okay. So in this case, the first form will be loaded, and after that, the related list will be loaded. Okay. And next we have the notifications. So notifications, being an individual, you have the opportunity to enable the notifications and disable the notifications. Okay. And if one wants to have the what do you call text messages received, the SMS alerts, they have to create the mobile device for themselves. So there are the different notification channels. So one has to create the notification channels in order to receive the different notifications. It can be the email notifications or the text notifications. Okay, so if you scroll it down, you can find different notification types. So we have the approval notifications. The moment you click the approval notifications, you have the other subcategory of the notifications. Okay, so you can enable, disable the primary. So if you disable, this approval notification will not be sent or will not be received by this particular user. Okay, so at times, users disable the notifications and they complain that they are not receiving the notifications when they report the incident. Okay, so in those cases, we have to ask the user to check their notifications and see if the notification is enabled or not. The primary channel for the notification is enabled or not. Okay, and we'll look into this in detail when we talk about the email notifications. And the next we have the developer. So this developer is available only for the admins, and it talks about the applications. So it shows what is the current application that we are working on and what is the update set. So we will talk about this in detail in the upcoming classes. And if you want this update set picker and the application picker to be available on your form header or on the banner pane, you can enable them. So currently I have only the update set picker is enabled. So that's the reason I can see my update set. So my current update set is the global. If I enable the field watcher and the JavaScript, it gets enabled on the bottom. If I enable this one, the application picker, this will be next to my update set. Okay, so the admins can have the option to enable the update set picker or the application picker in the header. Okay, guys, that's what we have in the application. Sorry, the what do you call the banner pane? Any questions on the banner pane, guys?
No, we are good.
Okay, perfect. So on the left, we have the navigation pane. So if you look at this navigation pane has been again divided into 3 different sections. Okay, so the first one we have the all applications, and second one we have the favorites, and third one is the history. Okay, and on top of this we have the search box, and we also call it as a filter. And in the all the applications, or this comprises of the applications and the modules. So if you have one application, so this is called the application menu, and the moment you expand or the click on the application menu, you get a submenu, and the submenu is called as the modules. So self-service is the application menu, the primary menu, and under the application menu I have a submenu, and each item in the submenu is called as the module. So homepage is a module, business application is a module, dashboards is a module again. Okay, but all these modules which are grouped together and put under one heading, that will be called as the application. Okay, so the navigation comprises of applications and its modules. Okay, and on the top, since there are multiple applications available, it will be difficult for us to navigate, or difficult for us to find the any application. So we have the application filter, navigation filter, using which we can directly find the application that we are looking for. Okay, so next, what you call the favorites. If you have any frequently used applications, you can bookmark them. So how do you do that? You have to hover your mouse on the application that you want to make it as a favorite. Then you get this star icon enabled. You can click on the star icon. Now this will be added to my favorites. Do you see? So you can add the applications and its menus, its submenus also to the favorite list. So you can add the complete application or the any of these things, the modules, depending on your requirement. Suppose I have the service desk and I want only the callers to be added to the favorite list. Yes, I can do that by adding this to the clicking on the asterisk icon. Okay, so it's not only the applications and its menus, application and its submenus can be submenus, but also the records can be added to the favorites. Okay, suppose you have some important problem record and you want that to be added to the favorite list. Yes, you can do that. I can open and click on this hamburger icon, and I have create favorite. So the moment I click on the create favorite, I have get different. I can add the icons and the colors to my favorite list. Since this is the record, I'm going to choose this one. Okay, color. Yep, I like orange. Done. So the records also can be added to the favorite, guys. It's not only the applications and its menus, but also records can be added to the favorites. And besides the records, we can also add the reports. Suppose you have some reports and you want to add the report to the favorite list. Yes, you can certainly do that. Okay, so these records also, reports also can be added to the favorite list. And what else we can add to the favorite list? Okay, yep, that's it, guys. And next we have the history. So history will show what are the applications that we have opened lately. So everything will be added to the history. Okay, but looking at this now I have accessed the problem records. Now I'm going to this screen, incident screen. So these are the applications that have these are the screens that have navigated in the last couple of minutes. So whatever the application that have navigated to, everything will be recorded in the history. Okay, and this is temporary, guys. This is not the not like your system logs. Okay, system logs are different and the history is different. This is only temporary. One if it gets full, this can be cleared. Okay, so that's all we have in the left navigation. And the middle section, this is the content pane. Whatever you choose in the left navigation, that will be visible in the content pane, guys. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, guys. Yeah, any questions on the UI? We are done with the UI.
Yeah, just got an understanding.
Yes, this I mean, these are pretty simple, and they're just the basic. Yes. Okay. Now, since you have logged into the instance and you want to know the details of the instance. Now, suppose you have logged into the computer, and if you want to know the configuration of your computer, where do you check? Where you can see the processors, the RAM. You go to the system properties and you check all these details, right? The name of the computer and other things. And similarly, the moment we log into the instance and being an administrator, if you want to find out the properties or if you want to find out the details of your instance, you can go to a module called stats. So this is the module which holds the complete information regarding your instance. Okay, the build name of my instance is Kingston. This is the build date. Okay, the node ID, instance IDs. And the other details can be found in the stats module. Okay, so earlier in the previous versions, had we wanted to know the name of the instance that we were, the family, the version of the instance that we are working on, if you just hover the mouse on the banner icon, that used to give us the name of the build also. But now, in order to check it, you have to come to the stats. So stats was previously also available, but we need not, just to check the instance name, or just to check the build name, we never used to come to the stats page. Just we used to hover on the mouse, hover on the icon, the banner icon, banner image, and that used to give us the name of the build. Okay, so this is where you can get most of the details. And since we have 10 more minutes, we'll just quickly look into how can we change the banner icon. Okay, banner image. So this banner, the first thing that I told you, the moment we receive the instance from ServiceNow, first we have to personalize the instance. So personalization happens, changing the banner image and this heading, this text. And this can be done. You can go to the basic admin configuration. So in the basic configuration, you have two sections, guys. So if you just make the changes in the basic configuration here, if you change the image here, this will not be listed. I mean, this will not be show the banner image here, because this is the basic configuration is for the UI 15 and the older versions. But if since we are on the UI 16, and if you want the banner image to be changed on the UI 16, then you have to change that in the UI 16 module. Okay. So you can come to the basic configuration UI 16, and this is the page header caption. So if I want to name it as the training, I can do this. This browser tab title is this, guys. So the system configuration UI 16. Okay, so if you want to add something like this, you can do this. Then you have the time zones. And you can set the time zones, but however, the users have the options to override the time zones. So they can go to the personalization and they can choose the time zone. So until unless they don't overwrite it, you can set the time zones. And this is where you can add the banner image and the date format, time format, the color, the pretty much the look and feel can be controlled by the basic configuration UI 16. Okay, so these are the CSS codes, guys, for the different colors. Okay, so in the UI 15, we never had this options, the drop down. It used to be you need to search the CSS codes in the Google, and then we used to copy it here in the text. Now you have this. We still need to use the CSS color codes. Okay. So the basic configuration can be controlled by going to this basic configuration UI 16. Okay. So any questions, guys?
No.
Okay, perfect. So if you don't have any questions, so the first thing that I would like you to do, go to ServiceNow, the developer.servicenow.com, and request for an instance. Once you get the instance, please navigate through these UI. Just make yourself comfortable or make yourself familiar with the UI. So what are the options that we have discussed?
Okay.
Just okay, super. So you just navigate around, just play around and see how the ServiceNow UI looks and feels.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So tomorrow we'll start with the tables. We'll see how the data in ServiceNow gets saved and what are the different tables we have available. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, perfect, guys. Any questions?
No, just I'll look into all these things. If I find any questions, maybe I'll put up tomorrow.
Okay, super. And how about others?
Hi, Santosh. I just got a small doubt at Elevate role. So you said that to activate the Elevate role, you just need to the high end of a security admin, right?
Yes. I mean, this option is not available by default to everyone. So it's only to the people who have the security admin role. So let me do one thing real quick. I impersonate the another admin. Okay, we'll do one thing. we are going to grant the admin role for this particular user. He has got the ITIL, and I'm going to grant him the admin role. Okay, now the Abraham Lincoln is the admin. I'm going to impersonate him. Now, Abraham Lincoln has got the admin role, but despite getting the admin role, he doesn't have the elevate roles. Do you see?
Yeah.
That is just because he doesn't have the security underscore admin role. So only the people with the security underscore admin role will have that particular option. And the security underscore admin, this is extra privilege. And if you're doing some, what do you call, some activities, some security rules, if you're trying to modify creating the security rules, and that certainly requires you to, I mean, this is just to make sure that, you're very well aware of the changes that you're making. So if you make any change, any security rule, the impact on the system will be very huge. So just to ensure that you are doing these changes, consciously, they have introduced this security admin role. Okay, so if you're being the admin, unknowingly also you might do some changes, without your knowledge. Okay, so if these guys think the impact is going to be severe, for them they have added the security admin, and every time if you want to make some changes to those security rules, you have to elevate your roles. So when you're elevating the roles, that means you're applying the security admin role to your profile. Okay, so that way you're conscious and you know what exactly you're doing. So you don't do it, you don't elevate your roles by mistake, right? Do you?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So that's the only reason behind the introducing the security admin, the elevation roles. Okay. Okay. So any other questions?
No.
Okay, perfect, guys. Thank you for your time. We'll meet again tomorrow. And meanwhile, just try making yourself familiar with the system, with the UI at least.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, perfect then. Thank you.
Thank you.